Hey y'all, Soda City Realtor here, and today I wanted to share some information with you about Cayce. For some of you moving to Columbia, Cayce may just offer the neighborhood feel you're looking for. Separated from the city of Columbia by the Congaree River, Cayce is neighbors with the city of West Columbia and the town of Springdale and the town of Pine Ridge. Let's start out with some history facts. Over 300 years ago, a trading post was established in this area known as Congaree Fort. Years later, a Swiss immigrant bought a 100-acre tract of land and established a ferry system right here on the banks of the Congaree River. This area was known as Granby. Less than a decade later, two merchants opened a trading post on these same grounds with the main purpose of shipping and receiving goods to and from the Low Country. During the Revolutionary War, that trading post was seized by the British and used as a military fort. After the war, the Granby area continued to grow. Around 1785, after Lexington County was established, Granby was named the seat of government. Get this, there are records of George Washington visiting this area and making note of this successful little town. At this time, Granby actually had more residential homes built than the city of Columbia. It was during this period that Ginyard Brick Works opened. They produced many of the bricks used for the buildings and homes around Columbia. Right behind me on this historical site, you'll see what my granddaddy used to call the brick ovens. Actual clay from the banks of the Congaree River was used in the brick making process. These guys remained in business for almost 200 years. Due to constant flooding, the county seat was moved to Lexington, which eventually ended up leaving Granby deserted and abandoned. Around 1817, the Cayce family bought that original trading post that was still standing and made it their primary residence for almost 100 years. It was referred to as the Cayce House. During the Civil War, the Cayce family opened the doors of this house and their home to the soldiers and people coming through Columbia. By 1914, the residents of this area were ready to incorporate and decided to name the town after the Cayce family. Over the next 30 years, Cayce had become primarily a railroad town. The railroad not only created most of the jobs and paychecks, but this industry had a huge impact on the city for quite some time. Nearby lumber yards, quarry, and fertilizer plant were also some of the main places for employment in Cayce. During the 1940s and 50s, Cayce continued to experience huge growth, as did the city of Columbia. Today, what we know as the Blossom Street Bridge was built in the 50s and offered a much better way to connect the residents and workers to the state's capital city. The 60s and 70s brought life to what we know as Knox Abbott Drive. Businesses large and small were opening. The quarry and railroad industry were joined by a large steel mill and a few other manufacturing plants.